Welcome to the second session of our Stand series. This week we're going to be looking at raising money and generosity and what it means to live a generous life. Jesus told us two fantastic stories about generosity. The first one's in Mark 12. It's a story of two different people giving generously or seemingly generously at the temple. So up goes the first person. They've got loads of money, and everyone can see that they've got loads of money. And out they get their wallet and take the wad of cash out and put it into the offering. And then the second one is an old lady who shuffles up to the front, gets out her 2 coins that don't amount to very much, puts it in the offering. And Jesus looks at this and says, who was the most generous out of those two? Was it the person who gave the most, who gave a massive wad of cash, or was it the woman who gave very little but was all that she could give? Jesus looks at it and says, the woman has given more than the man who gave a lot. This little old lady, without fuss, without a show, gave all that she had to give. She gave as much as she could. She gave not financially as much as the other person, but in terms of her heart, she gave far more. Generosity, in part, is about our heart. The second story Jesus tells us is of the rich young ruler. This guy comes up to Jesus and says, Jesus, what must I do to be saved? And Jesus looks him in the eye and says, you've got to go and sell everything you have and give it to the poor. And this poor guy walks away looking sad, knowing that he can't give it up. Those two stories tell us a lot about what Jesus thinks about money and about generosity. The first one tells us that God really cares about our heart. It's not about how much we give, it's about the heart with which we give. But he also looks at money and says that actually, you know what, just give it away. Because actually the way into the kingdom of God is not through stuff, not through more things, not through more cash, but through him, through following him, through our hearts. And so that's what we want to look at in this session, is what it means to give our hearts to Jesus, and as an outward reflection of that, to be generous with our time and with our money and with our gifts. I think that serving is one of the most amazing ways that we can show the love of Jesus. Serving our friends and our neighbours in our church, and serving the poor around the world. That we can be generous with our time and with our gifts through serving. One of the times that most changed me was a time in South Africa. We went there for 3 weeks and got to spend some time at an AIDS orphanage. We were only there for 4 days, but it's a time that I'll remember for the rest of my life. I met a little girl there she was 5, and she was an AIDS orphan. Her parents had been killed by a disease that's preventable. She had been left on the side of the road by her grandmother who couldn't look after her, and she had been rescued and was in this orphanage, and she was the most joyful, incredible little girl. And I had the privilege of being able to serve her just for an afternoon, just hanging out with her, giving her my time. Didn't have anything else I could give her. And I found that as I served her, as I got to love her a little bit, I didn't really do a lot, that I received so much more from her, that I know forevermore she will be in my heart. I have no idea where she is anymore. I don't know if she's still at the orphanage. I don't know where she is. I don't even know if she's alive, but I know that she has changed my life forever. That as I was allowed, as I got the privilege of serving her, that somehow she served me. And that's the thing about serving and being generous, that there's this give and take that happens. That as we serve and love and give our time and our efforts to other people, that somehow we receive. That serving is a gift that just keeps giving, because as we give, we receive, and so we give, and so we receive. And so we can give our time, but also we can give financially as well. And And that sounds quite scary and painful. I know for me that as I've learned that to give stuff away, give my money away, actually that it no longer has such a hold on me. I realised for a long time I found money something that I was trapped by, which sounds really ridiculous, I know, but so many of us go to our cash point, put the card in feeling slightly sick because we're not quite sure how much money we've got in there. And we press the £10 button and pray that it will come out so that we can buy lunch or whatever it is. But for so many of us, money is this thing that doesn't allow us freedom but actually has a hold on us because we're slaves to it. And that's what Jesus was saying in the story with the rich young ruler. Actually, mate, the problem with your life is that you're trapped by money. And so the way you're going to get freedom, the way you can come and follow me is by giving all that stuff up. So what Jesus wasn't saying to all of us was, sell everything you have and give to the poor. He's saying, find the things that you find toughest and give those things away. Find the things where you're trapped and find freedom. And I think probably for a lot of us, that money has a bit of a hold on us. We find that we want the newest and latest and greatest. We want the best. We want the latest fashion. We want the latest phone, whatever it might be. And that I found that as I give my money away, that I've actually found genuine freedom. And I've not got this totally right. Don't hear me saying I'm totally free and I don't want things. I definitely do. But that there's increments of freedom. And as I break the power of money in my life, as I get to the joy of being generous with my money, that actually it does allow me real freedom. And so I'd encourage you, yes, be really generous with your time. Because ultimately, if we're all only generous with our money, nothing's going to get done. So be generous with your time and with your gifts. But be generous with your money where you can. Buy the homeless guy as you walk past him, buy him lunch, sit down and have a chat with him. Be generous with your money and your time. Give your money to charities, to those people who most need it. Charities always need money, let's face it, we all always need money. But there are charities that do phenomenal work all around the world, working with the poorest communities in the world. Find them and be generous to them. Be generous to your church. I heard a stat that if the church in America, if everyone who goes to church in America tithed, that we would have enough money to start to end world poverty within a couple of years. That is terrifying to me. Don't let money have a hold over you, but be free of money by giving it away. Generosity is key to our life of faith. You see, I just wonder if actually generosity is the link between faith and love. Faith that God has everything we need so we can be generous with the stuff that he's given us already. And generosity showing and exempling God's love for people by serving them or giving them money or our time or our gifts. Generosity embodies this link between faith and love. You see, that's the thing about it. We don't give out of nothing. We give out of what we've already been given. The Bible tells us that everything we have, God has already given us. He's given us breath and he's given us life. And he's given us everything that we own and all that we have. And so out of the generosity from God, we can be generous ourselves. And so giving actually becomes an act of worship. Our whole lives are worship. Everything we do is worship. And so giving reflects our love for God. It becomes this act of saying, God, I love you and I'll do this for you. It becomes an act of worship. And so our time and our talents and our money, as we give them away, actually what we're saying is we love the people in front of us that we're serving, but actually we love God. It's faith and it's love. And so I think one of the best ways of combining these things, of giving generously with our time, giving generously with our gifts and talents, and giving generously with our money, is through fundraising, through getting together as a youth group, getting together as a community of people and doing something that raises money for other people. We have a load of projects that you can give to, but there are loads of charities out there that need your money, that have brilliant projects that you can support. You can go and check out our website. We've got a whole list of the projects where we give money. We would love you to be able to fundraise for us. We would really appreciate that. But actually raise money, give it away. Raise money, give it away, because it's important that we are people who are generous, to reflect our faith in God, to reflect our love for Him and for other people. That we would be people who give generously, because it's a command in the Bible, and that we would long to be people who live more freely, that we would live out of this freedom that we have. We would give out of this freedom that we have, that we have been given, and so we give just as we've been given.